There's one thing I disagree with, John. I think that we're going to know 5 minutes after the polls close on the East Coast because this will come all down to Ohio. So you'll look at downtown Columbus, downtown Cleveland. If the turnout's high, Obama will win. And then southwestern Ohio is Cincinnati, which has to go for Romney in a big way. So the turnout there is high, then Romney will win. And we'll know that in 5 minutes.
Ohio wins or loses the election?
Absolutely, and 3 cities will determine it. It'll be the Cleveland, Columbus
turnout.
turnout.
Can I agree and disagree? Yeah, I agree that we'll know when we know Ohio. I just don't know when we'll know Ohio.
Well put, John.
Okay.
Adroit.
Yeah.
One of our panelists will be leaving, and one will have a replacement. We thank you all for hang right tough. Let's go back to David Begnaud at the social media desk. Now you're going to tell us who won.
Yeah, but before that, Larry, I'm just getting this actually on the phone. This is incredible. 4 million tweets over the course of tonight. 3.5 million came in the first 92 minutes of the debate as we were watching it. So we asked on Larry's Facebook page, who do you think won? 5 words or less, tell us. Overwhelmingly, folks said Biden. Check it out. Keith Jones, Joe Biden kicks some butt. Go Biden, questions answered. Biden too hot for Paul. Biden has nice teeth. They love his teeth. Women's vagina is not politics. Ryan, respectful, prepared, sincere, and direct. Laura says Biden was rude. Joe Biden won. Biden crushed Ryan to death. Mostly CNN viewers I see. Not worth watching and didn't. Biden smirking was disbelief of what was coming out of Ryan's
In fairness, David, last week, did we have this many saying that Romney won?
No. Well, to a degree.
I'm trying to see how much they reflect the nation.
To a degree. What was interesting about last night is we had even liberal commentators who were so underwhelmed with the president's performance. Even they were saying, you know, in a sense, he got his butt kicked. But really tonight, people, I mean, overwhelmingly giving props to the VP.
Thank you, David. Joining us now, we thank, by the way, Mr. Martinez for joining us, and he is replaced by Howard Bragman, the Vice Chairman of Reputation.com, our public relations expert, purely from a public relations standpoint, for getting your own thoughts. We know you're a liberal. How did this go tonight?
I think what we talked about before, Biden did what he needed to do. He stopped the bleeding. Saw a lot of tweets, a lot of Facebook postings. The Democrats are very energized by Biden's energy. He clearly had great energy. He will be called out tomorrow on his smirking. His body language was horrible, but his energy was great. You know, many people in America think this is a junior high basketball game. Who won? And it's certainly not that simple. There's going to be a lot of fact-checking on social media, but Biden did a couple smart things. That abortion answer was very damaging for Ryan with the women's vote. And we have to understand that this is really a campaign that will be won by Obama if he wins, or lost by Obama with the women's vote, with the Latino vote, with many of the minority groups.
The moderator asked Megyn, is this vitriol, is it going to remain? And what they both thought about it. Do you think it's going to get worse?
Yeah, I just think it's
Both
just getting
sides
worse so much right now. And I just think this youth vote that Zogby was just talking about not turning out, I mean, we're just killing young voters. They just don't want to come out. They don't want to be a part of it. I had talking to a guy at my hotel earlier today, said, why should I be involved? They just scream at each other. Things like tonight don't make it any better.
Are we, by the way, I'm asking our control room, are we watching people now watching on YouTube Spotlight? Okay. We thank you. People watching on YouTube Spotlight have just joined us. I understand that's a big deal. The more I learn about the internet, the more I learn. Let's go to Dan Brown, who's the blogger under the YouTube alias Pogobat. He's a contributor to Fuse, whatever that means.
I love Fuse.
I
know what it is.
You're a Fuseaholic.
Yeah.
All right. Dan, what's your read on tonight?
Well, I think the night went to Joe Biden. I think that he did exactly what he needed to do. He was the attack dog. And I think that it kind of sheds a little bit of light on what happened in the first debate. I mean, obviously the first debate was not a good night for Obama, but I think that Obama had to play it passive. He had to avoid looking unpresidential, and he had to I think that they were trying to let Joe Biden make the attacks first, so that when Obama himself attacks Romney in the upcoming debates, it doesn't seem like the president himself is the one who is going at his own. Does that make sense?
Yeah, let me reintroduce our panel, by the way, for those of you now joining us on YouTube Spotlight. And they are Meghan McCain, the columnist for the Daily Beast, the co-author of America, You Sexy Beach, A Love Letter to Freedom. Tanya Acker, the Democratic strategist, attorney, and commentator. Andy Dean, the nationally syndicated radio host, the host of America Now with Andy Dean. And Howard Bragman, vice chairman, Reputation.com, our public relations expert. At the social media board is David Begnaud, the host and executive producer of Aura TV's social media show, Newsbreaker. Going back to Dan Brown. Earlier this year, you posted a blog on YouTube asking if Obama had changed anything. Your answer was yes. Do you think Obama will get something from this debate?
Well, yeah, like I said earlier, I think that Joe Biden was able to forward the arguments that Obama himself will be able to parrot. And about the blog that I posted earlier about has Obama changed anything, my main sticking point was, the main conservative argument is, oh, what's changed? He promised this, utopian America that we haven't seen. And my main point was he has presided over America during a time of great change. I mean, we're so caught up in the moment these days, and we talked about Twitter a whole bunch tonight, we're caught up in literally what's happening in these 15 seconds that we forget. Back in 2008, Twitter wasn't a thing. Back in 2008, yes, Facebook was a big deal, but like my parents' generation wasn't on it. And so Obama himself, just the fact that we could elect someone like Obama after 8 years of George W. Bush, I think says a lot about how the American people themselves have changed over the last decade. So, and I think he's the right person to.
I think you speak for a lot of young voters. John Zogby said that the young turnout will be less, and that Romney will get about 5% more than McCain got 4 years ago. Do you agree?
I think that's probably fair. I don't think that has a whole lot to do with any of Obama's policies. I think that has a lot to do just with the fact that, Obama's not so new. We were used to it. I mean, new things get us excited. And so in 2008, it was an incredibly stark contrast. Well, I think a lot of kids that are in high school now who are going to be voting for the first time, like I was 18 when I voted in 2008. And I think that a lot of the kids who were, 14 back in 2008 who are 18 this year, they maybe don't remember how bad things were under George W. Bush, how much the rest of the world really kind of looked down on.
I know. Who is this?
I don't
sorry.
get this guy
Can I
at
just
all.
say something? I speak at colleges all the time. Young people know what's going on, and they're very aware of what's going on with Obama's policies, and they are disillusioned what he has done.
But he
a
was
lot of
saying
them.
they
last
don't
4 years.
remember
No,
George
but
W.
he's
He said
saying
the
we're like
policies don't matter.
children that only care about the sparkly, bouncy thing, the exciting thing. That is not. Trust me, I speak at colleges all the time.
Kids in their 20s also, over half of them are unemployed or underemployed. So they look at these president's policies, they can't get a job. So yeah, he's the cool guy, but they can't pay their rent. And he's saying, oh, well, the president's policies, they don't matter.
One third move back in home. One third move back at
People are
home
living
with
with their parents. They have no lives. Because
Tanya,
of the president.
Tanya and Howard, before we get back to David, before we get back to Dan, do you know what young people are thinking?
I am not like Meghan, so I know I'm not doing the college circuit as much. So, and I think that you're probably right. I don't think it's right to give them such short shrift. But I do think what I do know of what's going on with, that crowd, I've got nieces and, I hang out with folks like that from time to time. I don't think it's so much, I don't think it's just about the president. They certainly aren't as enthusiastic about this president as they were 4 years ago, but they're not enthused about the system. I don't think they love Mitt Romney. I don't think they love this Congress. I think they're really turned off generally. So, I do disagree with the blogger a bit. I think that they're clued in, but I don't think that they're just like, oh, I can't take this Barack Obama. I just think that they feel really disengaged from the system generally.
Well, I think disillusioned is the word. And I get young people. I listen to Flo Rida. I know what's going on. These kids can't get jobs. They can't get jobs, and they're upset. They're angry.
But I'm not convinced these kids think that if Romney gets in versus Obama, they'll get a job. I think there's a big disconnect.
No, but do you know who they love? Ron Paul. Ron Paul, baby, all day long. A lot of Republican conservative students.
Won't the Ron Paul voter go to Romney?
I don't know. That's
Won't he,
$64,000
Andy?
question.
Majority.
home?
I mean, there's a
Gary
libertarian candidate running, but Gary Johnson, I mean, he's been on my show. He's a weak guy. He's zero charisma. He's a loser. He polls 3%, which is interesting. Third-party candidates always do better in polling because people like to, give them a shout-out. When it comes to the actual election, they do about half as well. So Gary Johnson
Yeah, but 1.5%. But how much of that 1.5% will come from Romney? And I would guess
California,
if it's 1.5%, 1% of 2/3 of it will come from Romney, and that's something he can't afford.
And wouldn't young
State.
people, by the nature of the way wouldn't young people be attracted to Congressman Ryan?
No, I don't think so. I think if you look at the pictures of him working out today, you see someone who's a little out of touch with what young people are into.
Because he
But
goes to the
point
gym,
about-
because he's got a nice body.
He goes to the gym?
He's disconnected from young people because he's got a nice body.
Conservatives
What,
have
who
great
do you
bodies.
blog
Take it as a
for?
shot.
Like, literally, what are you talking about, man? Seriously, he's hot. I like a hot vice president. That's
Megan.
going to go to some people. What are you talking about? He looks good in those pictures. Right?
I think I have to. You know what? I will completely give up to that. Objectively, Paul Ryan is the best-looking man in American
you.
politics.
Thank you.
Right now.
And I look like
He's
Paul Ryan.
You're not that cute though.
You think Paul Ryan,
Wow, this is a tough.
Paul Ryan better look?
Howard's
Is
like,
Paul
I
Ryan
need that
better? Is Paul Ryan better looking than Mitt Romney?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
the two
absolutely.
women.
Yeah, but Mitt Romney's
Not-
sons are better looking than Paul Ryan.
Mitt Romney's got good-looking
That's true.
sons. He's
Yeah,
got
they're all
good-looking
married.
sons.
Bloggers discussing. There
I
we
know
have.
lots of married guys.
You wanted to talk about the hot guy? Here it is. So this is the photo shoot, happened last year, but it came out today. The timing was kind of questionable, right?
I could have done without the
Now this
hat.
is already turned into an animation, Larry, on the
Yeah.
internet. They've got him doing like this, and so you can download
He
it
looks
if you
like
want.
Marky Mark.
Get it on your phone.
Like Tim Tebow.
Like, oh yeah, sure. But this is it. This is what people have been talking about. Larry, you got to remember, look, Twitter is not scientific. Social media is a place where people can go to vent. And everything I've been reading tonight, people love this debate. Say what you want about viewership, say what you want about disenchantment, if you will. People love this. They actually were more fired up about tonight than they were about the presidential debate. They were bored during the presidential debate.
We're inviting, Dan, the candidates to come on, the vice presidential and presidential candidates to come on this program. I've had all presidential candidates on when I was in the cable business. Don't you think they should go on the internet?
Well, I think they're on the internet to a point. What I would love to see them do is actually engage in video blog conversations, because what I love about the medium of video blogging is you can't interrupt each other. You have time to actually write out and fully formulate your ideas, but it's kind of a video by video response format. I would love to see more of that. I don't think we're going to see that this cycle.
The president did a Reddit Ask Me Anything. That impressed me. I mean, that is getting seriously
that.
like
That's fun.
internet savvy, geeky. I
I did
love
that.
Reddit.
I did
You
it 2 hours.
Very impressive. I can't do it. I'm too scared of geeks on the internet asking me
Well, you
personal
just sit
questions.
there and they answer the questions.
Yeah, but Reddit has a
Your
venom
Reddit was
to
good,
it.
Larry. Your
I did a
Reddit.
2-hour
You did a
Reddit.
good Reddit.
Impressive. The president did one.
Thank you.
Well, and where's Romney's?
I think Paul Ryan and Romney should definitely do a Reddit Ask Me Anything. I think it's very important and it holds a lot more
I
clout
think
than
as
people
it gets
But they
realize.
down to
can't.
I
They
think-
can't. Reddit would demand substance.
And they, as we get
It's
down to the end,
unfiltered.
Howard, don't you think they're going to have to do a lot of things? You know, at the end of the Perot campaign with in '92 with Perot, we got Perot going. At the end of the Perot Clinton Bush campaign, the last 3 nights of that campaign, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I had each candidate on for an hour and a half. When they saw it was close, it was getting down. I think at the end they're going to be going to lots of places.
I think you're going to see them in Columbus and Cincinnati and Cleveland and Tampa and Miami. I think you're going to see them shuttling between Florida and Ohio with an occasional stop in Virginia.
Nothing
Those
in
states are
Texas,
so
nothing in
important.
Montana, nothing in Los Angeles.
Massachusetts. Yes, they will come to take a little money. Both of them are going to come here, take the money, screw up our traffic, and then they'll leave.
Do you think Romney will go on The View?
I think he'd be wise to go on The View, and I know the women of The View very well personally, and they'll give him great respect, as Elizabeth did to the president, for the most part.
And you know, on that point, I think that it would be so helpful to him, because what was great, what I think he did very well in the last debate, a few things, but he really became a little more human and personable. And I think that Mitt Romney on The View could really...
It's perceived as courageous just by walking into the lioness's den. Larry, I want to add one thing. I think the moderator did an excellent job tonight. When she didn't get the answer she wants, she didn't get specifics, she went back, and
she was very good.
I think we saw a big difference between this debate moderation and the first debate.
The first was awful.
A lot of credit.
Jim Lehrer is past his bedtime. I mean,
you can join our debate conversation on Twitter and Google Plus using the Aura 2012 hashtag. Send us your questions. Tell us what you think. Dan, how do you think it's all going to come out, or is it too soon to tell?
Oh, it's far too soon to tell. Speaking more to the social media infrastructure that we have in 2012 that we didn't have in 2008, I mean, it's all about what's happening in these 15 seconds. This election could be decided in the last 24 hours. And one social media moment that happened earlier in the year that I think is important to draw lessons from is that whole Kony 2012 thing. You remember that?
How can I forget?
And so that
Kony's still alive.
I didn't forget that guy's meltdown naked.
Yeah, right?
Didn't forget that.
Yeah.
He's on Oprah this week on the internet.
And the only thing that would kill Kony is military power. The guy's still wandering around. I mean,
Yeah, I'll never forget that.
not
Well,
some
sure, we
web
can argue
video.
the foreign policy side of it, but my point is more how that video spread. That got like 80 million views or something in 24 hours.
So did Gangnam Style. I don't know what the point, you know?
They are
So did
good.
You want to talk
Antoine.
about relations to
I
South
want
Korea and
Antoine
opening
to
free
be
trade
there.
agreements. But
Too
there is
soon.
the potential for some sort of a massive viral campaign in the last minute of this election. So
Thanks, Dan. We'll
Yeah,
see you
that's
Tuesday. Dan Brown.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does early voting going to mean anything, do you think?
It's turning out well for Obama in Ohio so
How do you
far.
know?
The early voting returns that have been...
They have returns at
Yeah, there's
I mean, they
some
count them before
there's some
Tuesday?
the early voting that's happened so far has been trending heavily in the president's favor.
How do you know? They count them?
I
It was
think
on
she
it
means
was
the
on
turnout. Nobody's
it was
seen
on
who's
I'm
voted
sorry.
for who, though.
You're
You mean the
so-
turnout?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I stand corrected.
That's okay. That's good.
And
That's natural.
early
You should say that
voting,
more.
some of it actually started
Only when I'm
before the
wrong, I'll
first
say it.
debate, and that was good for the president. And people who still aren't sure will probably hold their ballots. All this does is really, really tee it up for the next presidential debate. If Obama does not have the kind of energy he needs, he's going to be in deep doo-doo, as we say.
He's got to pick the ball up from Biden.
Absolutely. He should watch this. There's things he should learn to do and things he should definitely learn not to do here.
Another of our students is in our next studio is Sina Savvati. She's a graduate of UCLA. She voted for your father. In 2008, she supports Romney. She does not like the Tea Party. She supports marriage equality. Any question or comment, Sina?
Hi, Larry. My question is to you and the panel. Do you think that Vice President Biden has a career in the future in the Democratic Party, possibly as President of the United States?
He's 69 years old.
F no. No. No, not to be
no?
rude.
How do you
no
really
way.
feel?
There's no way. There's going to be a lot of new blood coming up 2016, a lot of new blood. And it is out with the old. No way.
Well, on the Democratic side, you're going to see Cuomo.
Well, you know what? It's Hillary Clinton's if she wants it.
Exactly.
If she stands up and says, I want it. If not, it's going to be fascinating. I think Andrew Cuomo is going to be very
Andrew's already
strong.
said if Hillary gets in, he won't.
Well, he
Republican
can't.
side,
The-
too.
Joe Biden's already, I mean, he said when he was put on the ticket 4 years ago that he wasn't really that
You know
much
what?
of a
He's going to be,
president.
what, 73, 74 by the time the second term ends, if they get in a second term. He's going to make a lot of money in speeches, play a lot of golf, spend time with his
Hang out
grandchildren.
with
Look,
Dr.
I mean,
Jill.
the
And he
public's
kinda
already
looked to his
rejected
son,
him.
too. You want
1980.
to talk about Biden's? I mean,
Who's
that's
the
the
Republican?
one coming up.
Let's say
Bo.
Romney loses.
Right.
Who's the Republican comer?
I think the big ones, Marco Rubio is super strong. You know, Florida, Latino.
Christie
Marco
has to lose
Rubio.
weight.
Nope.
See, I think
Chris
Marco
Christie
Rubio and
lost it.
Paul Ryan are the two strong front runners.
I think
and then
Jeb
Chris
Bush is
Christie will
the
be
big,
behind them.
the big question mark if Jeb Bush wants to run.
I think Chris Christie kind of blew it. My heart was with him forever. I loved him. My Tony Soprano, New Jersey
How did he blow it?
talker. Just on the convention, his speech was so inappropriate, so ill-timed.
All about himself.
I hated it, and I love the man, or I did. And I think Marco Rubio really did a fantastic
I think Marco
job.
Rubio will be the nominee, and God
Yeah.
forbid Obama wins, he'll be the president. Marco will be in 2016.
How important are the major people that we know in America? Are they out and about? Is your father out and about for Romney? Is there?
Oh yeah, he's working his tail off campaigning for him. He was just in Florida. Romney's got all the circuits out as President Obama does.
All the guys are out for Obama?
Yeah, I think that, you know, having President Clinton
Is he out and around?
Yeah, he's been out and around, and I think he's going to continue to be out and around. You know, I think that Democrats, as far as Clinton goes, are still riding the high from his convention speech, and he's going to have to keep making versions of that speech from now until Election Day.
What's the latest up on the board?
Larry, it's interesting. Millions of people still tweeting as we are on the air tonight. When we first started the show, economy was the top topic, but look at this. Abortion, Howard was right. That has really become a big conversation topic. Economy now second, 200,000 tweets about both. Healthcare followed by Iran. Still a lot of people tweeting about Iran tonight, the middle class, and Libya. With everything we've seen tonight, Larry, I've got a question for you. With all the debates, all the programs, the shows, and the election nights that you've hosted and anchored, do VP debates matter?
I never thought they had a long-lasting impact because they always come second. And then as soon as the third presidential debate takes place, everybody forgets.
This campaign is week by week. This was a very important debate for Biden to be perceived for this week. And the fact that abortion is the #1 trending Twitter topic, the Obama camp has to be ecstatic
but that's
about
biased,
that.
Though, and I think Howard would even admit this, is that younger people are on Twitter and younger people care about social issues more than older voters. So that's why you're seeing that. I don't think that's representative of the country.
What's the impact, Megyn, do you think, of this whole, which he explained, there was no Twitter 4 years ago in the campaign. We didn't discuss it.
Thank God for that. I should not have been on Twitter 4 years ago.
What? Are you a victim of Twitter?
Oh, I have messed up things in my life on Twitter. Children out there everywhere, teenagers, be careful what you put on Twitter. Do not be impulsive. Do not drink and tweet. I learned this a long time ago.
Have you lost a relationship on Twitter?
No, but it gets tricky when you got ex-boyfriends on Twitter. You unfollow, follow. It's such a modern thing. I don't know how.
What should I do?
Young.
I'll ask all of your advice as a slightly older gentleman. Maybe off topic, but it applies based on what I'm hearing here tonight. I have a 13-year-old son. He's an athlete. He's a wonderful kid. Chance, his younger brother, Cannon, 12, to a lesser degree. But Chance is never off his thing. Never off his thing.
Is he on Facebook?
Walking home from
Twitter?
school, yeah.
Both?
He bumps into trees. I think he has a quarterback. He would go back to pass with one hand and Twitter a message with the other. He will broadcast his own baseball games. What is it? What is it about this?
It's the immediacy. You know, it's the fact that we can connect with all of these different people all around the world immediately and get reactions from them and hear what they've got to say. I mean, there's something about the immediacy of it. It's really made the world a lot smaller. It's made our political community smaller. I think it's fantastic.
Any danger?
It's statistically more addictive than nicotine or sex, also.
Well, I think
Twitter.
she brought up something interesting. And look, technology, I mean, it all does revolve around sex at the end of the day. I mean, people use Facebook and Twitter to find a girl, whatever that may be. I mean, that's a lot of what's driving. I mean, not these debates, but when you're in high school, that's what you're doing. You're hitting on girls.
Well, listen, let me say this. You know, it is the immediacy. It's how they communicate. You remember, I mean, I'm a little older than most of these panelists, too, and I can tell you, I'm not quite that old, but you remember when a long-distance call used to be a big deal? You remember? I had a cousin call me last week, and he goes, I live in Atlanta, but I'm in California, and I couldn't come to California without calling you. I'm thinking, what the hell's wrong with you? You can't call from Atlanta like I care.
And why do people say that a text is a call? I spoke to him. Did you speak? No, I didn't speak to him. I texted him, right?
Same difference.
That's their moment of communication. And as a parent, let me tell you, I deal with this all the time.
What is the need?
You better know what he's saying, and you should be following your kid.
What is the need,
I
David,
agree.
for these people, do you think, to Twitter, to tweet?
It connects them, Larry, to people who they otherwise would never meet. They can tweet you, and you may respond to them. They could never get in touch with Larry King. Anderson Cooper today literally had a throwdown on Twitter with a woman who said, you know, she took exception with an interview he did. He called her a coward. This is an influential television celebrity who's got millions of followers. Twitter allows people to interact with Meghan McCain and other people. No, but seriously, that's what it is. So, I mean, when I hear Andy, respectfully, when I hear you sort of downplay social media, it's like, listen, you can either get it and you can realize that everybody's on it and it does matter, or you can dismiss it, and I think it comes to bite you in the ass.
I think we have another student, if I'm correct, Casey Marie Tung, a UCLA junior in political science. Her home is Hawaii, and she likes President Obama. Do you have a question or a comment, Casey?
Hi, I do. Joe Biden mentioned how he asked America how much we trusted him, and I was just wondering how much you think that the trust factor will play in the election.
I think it's about history. I think what Joe Biden was saying, look at the history of Joe Biden, of Barack Obama, of the Democratic Party for standing up for the middle-class voter. I think that was his message. And I don't think, no matter how well it's explained, I don't think a lot of people, even if they're 54, under 55, I don't think they understand vouchers and what it means, and I think it makes them feel uncomfortable.
Do you think Biden scored a point getting in the 47%?
Absolutely. I think he scored big with that, and he repeated it, if you noticed. He kept
11
driving,
times, I think.
Yeah, he just kept driving that point home. And it was really one of the big criticisms that people had of Obama, is that here you are meeting, you're podium to podium with Mitt Romney, and then you ignore the fact that he treated almost half the country like we're just losers.
What do you, Andy, as a conservative, be an objective journalist for a second, what do you think happened to Obama last week? I mean, obviously, he's a major debater.
I think he had to decide, just thinking in his head, he could come out in two ways. He could come out super aggressive or kind of underwhelm. There was a happy medium that he clearly missed, but if he had come out over aggressive, then all the headlines would be, oh, well, Obama's a tyrant, and this is proof that he doesn't listen to people in the White House, and he just does his own thing and goes his own way. So if there's any positive for him, I would rather have the headline of, oh, I came out weak, so that way you come out in round two, and the headline is, Obama comes back swinging, return of the comeback kid. So he's got that going. He could have an upswing, but you can't recover from he was King Obama, the tyrant, and he was constantly interrupting. So it's better to underwhelm than overwhelm.
Interesting point. Would you agree with that, probably?
I would agree. I mean, I think that, we were talking about this at the end of the last debate, which was, and I think that the panelists were much more generous to the president's performance than everybody else outside of the panel.
Yeah, they were.
Because I think that a lot of folks thought that, as Andy said, there's a really delicate balance. You can't be unpresidential. You can't be overly aggressive. Independents don't necessarily like it, but, query whether or not he struck the right balance.
We only have about 5 minutes left. We're going to hear from one more student in a moment, but David, what do you have over there now?
Your Facebook page is just really blowing up.
My Facebook page.
Your Facebook page. Nancy leaving a comment on your Facebook page, Larry. Biden was absolutely despicably rude, probably knowing Ryan had honest facts for the listeners. Io, Joe did extremely well. Melanie, Biden, no class at all. Kathy, great job, VP Biden. Allie, smoking Joe Biden slandered. Maria, Joe Biden's experience showed woefully. And Suzanne, Republican math just does not add up. When we take into account all 700 comments we got on your page, people think Biden won.
But I think there are people reinforcing their own opinion.
Yeah, I'd be curious what people would say on my public Facebook page, too, because there's probably a lot of Republicans saying
But people know you're a Republican strategist.
I wonder if anyone said, I had no idea who I'd be for, and I'm sold on Ryan. Or I'm sold on
This wasn't that debate.
Find that
This was not that debate, and this debate wasn't going to change it. And I want to address something you said. As bad as it is to be a 20-year-old kid without a job, living in your childhood bedroom at home, there's only one way to make it worse: with a pregnant girlfriend who can't get an abortion. Okay? And I think that's it's an absolute true
How many
concern.
of those?
You know what? I remember being in college. I remember friends that had to make that very difficult decision and stood by them when they did it. And
have one more.
The fact that it's trending is a huge deal.
One more college comment. I think James Wren is with us, UCLA senior in political science, describes himself as physically conservative and socially right-leaning. Is a United States Army Reserve veteran. James, you have a question or comment?
Yes, sir, Mr. King. Obviously, people are going to be talking about who won tonight, but the other simultaneous storyline was Congressman Ryan's introduction to a large percentage of the voters who've never seen him before. So I just want to get your take on how you think people will perceive him.
Good question. Start with you, Megan.
First of all, thank you for your service, James. Secondly, I don't know if this was the greatest introduction to Paul Ryan. He has a tendency to come off very professorial, and I don't really think I saw the charismatic Paul Ryan that I like so much tonight, but I don't think he was really given the opportunity. I think it was just a crossfire fight fest.
Second, Megan, on thanking you for your service, I do think that I've seen Paul Ryan be stronger than he was tonight. I've seen him be more charismatic. I felt like he was a little uncomfortable at times. He was stumbling a little bit, and he seemed a little edgy. Like there was while the vice president may have been a little too teethy. I think that.
But remember, it was his first time in a national.
Right, and I just think Ryan was a little edgy at the outset.
What do you think, Andy?
I don't think Ryan hit a home run, but I don't think he struck out. He was down the middle somewhere. But part of his personality, he's a number two guy. He's a congressional guy. I don't see him being president of the United States. This just confirms that. He doesn't have the soaring attitude of a Marco Rubio.
Howard?
Yeah, and his lack of specificity. You know, he took heat a couple weeks ago on Fox for not being specific about the math. He took it here tonight. It's going to come up in the next debate, and there should have been a better answer from these people.
They're going to be forced to say what are their proposals.
There should have been. You know it's happening, Larry. You got to be prepared.
We're going to wind things up. A little final comment, David.
Larry, it was a record-breaking night for Twitter. Say what you might substantially on the substance of the evening, but stylistically from people tweeting and leaving comments on your Facebook page and the 4 million tweets that came in tonight, people loved it. They actually thought it was fun to watch. What we saw last night in the form of tweets were people who love politics and studied it and followed it and thought it was boring as all get out. Tonight, it was a show, and they enjoyed watching it.
And by the way, don't forget, you can subscribe to youtube.com/OraTV. We'll see you all Tuesday night following the second presidential debate, the third debate in the series. And as we leave you, we're going to remind you, we thank you for watching us on YouTube Spotlight. And remember that I'm with you every day on Hulu via Ora TV. And you've got a chance, if you haven't seen that, this is our very homespun set. We're going to toss it back now to David Begnaud. He's going to take over. He's got his own deal going from now on. David, it's yours.
Thank you, Larry. And guests joining me now live via Google Hangout is Trisha Paytas. Trisha has an interesting story. She's a bit of a YouTube rock star. She is a former stripper who converted to Catholicism, likes to say that she got her life straight, changed her ways, and interestingly, made a YouTube video recently where she started talking about why she liked Mitt Romney. She is not here. Okay. Well, we'll keep talking about Trisha while we try and establish with her. Nonetheless, she did a video on YouTube about Congressman, or rather presidential candidate Mitt Romney. In the video, she stated that she was voting for him. She was for the GOP candidate and she wanted to vote for him. That video went viral. She usually gets a couple 100,000 views on YouTube, which is pretty impressive. This one got her over 1 million. She is joining me now. Trisha, can you hear me? Trisha, are you there? As we always say, this is live television, so I love this. You're watching us and joining us on YouTube. We appreciate that. Trisha, you there? All right, we are still trying to establish with Trisha. We are done. So, we apologize for the technical difficulties. We thank you for watching. Don't forget, we'll be back again next week for the next presidential debate. We'll see you then. Please subscribe to our YouTube page or TV/Larry King. Thank you.